The ultimatum. The Galactic Council's ultimatum came without warning. A massive holographic projection lit up the skies above every major city on Earth. A tall, slender alien with skin like polished obsidian and glowing yellow eyes appeared. This was High Chancellor Zorath, the voice of the Council. People of Earth, Zorath's voice echoed across the globe, calm but filled with menace. Your planet stands at a crossroads. You have two choices: submit to the authority of the Galactic Council and integrate into our systems, or face total annihilation. You have one Earth week to decide. The message ended, leaving the world in stunned silence. Panic rippled through the streets as people tried to understand what had just happened. News channels replayed the ultimatum on an endless loop, and conspiracy theorists came out of hiding, claiming they had always known this day would come. In the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, Earth's leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. Presidents, prime ministers, and generals argued loudly over how to respond. Some advocated for surrender, fearing the Council's power was too great to resist. Others insisted on defiance, unwilling to bow to alien overlords. Silence. President Linda Walker of the United States slammed her hand on the table, her voice cutting through the chaos. Panicking won't help. We need a clear plan. General Marcus Gray, a grizzled veteran with a reputation for calm under pressure, leaned forward. Madam President, it's time we bring the Terran fleet into the conversation. The room fell silent. Only a select few knew about the Terran fleet, a secret military project that had been decades in the making. While the Galactic Council believed humanity was technologically primitive, Earth had been quietly building its defenses in anticipation of such a day. "Are you saying we reveal our hand now?" asked Prime Minister Han Liu of China, his voice measured but tense. "We have no choice," General Gray replied. "If we submit, we lose our freedom. If we fight, the fleet is our only chance." Reluctantly, the leaders agreed. Within hours, the world's top military officers convened in a hidden command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room was abuzz with activity as screens displayed schematics of advanced starships and weapon systems. At the center of it all stood Captain Ava Carter. Young for her rank, but fiercely capable, she had earned the respect of her peers through sheer determination and tactical brilliance. She studied the Council's broadcast with a cold, calculating gaze. "They think we're weak," Carter said, her voice steady. "They think we'll fold the moment they flex their muscles. Let's show them just how wrong they are." Her words ignited a spark of determination in the room. Engineers and scientists began final checks on the fleet's advanced warships, each one equipped with stealth systems, railguns, and experimental energy shields. The crown jewel of the fleet, the battleship Erebus, loomed large on the main screen. It was a testament to human ingenuity, designed to outmaneuver and outgun anything in the galaxy. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council's fleet hovered in orbit, a silent reminder of the power humanity was up against. Zorath and his advisors watched Earth with amusement from their flagship. To them, the ultimatum was a mere formality. No species had ever defied the Council and survived. On Earth, ordinary people prepared for the worst. Families stockpiled supplies, while others took to the streets in protests or prayer. Despite the fear, a sense of unity began to take hold. The ultimatum had made one thing clear: humanity's survival depended on standing together. As the week's deadline approached, Captain Carter addressed the world. Her message was broadcast across every screen, a counter to the Council's intimidating projection. "People of Earth," she began, her voice firm but compassionate, "the Galactic Council believes they can intimidate us into submission. They see us as weak, divided, and unworthy. But they underestimate us. We are stronger than they know, and we will not bow to tyranny." Her words resonated deeply, sparking a wave of defiance across the planet. For the first time in days, people felt hope. They didn't know the full extent of the Terran fleet's capabilities, but they believed in Carter's confidence. As the final hours ticked away, The fleet prepared to launch. Scientists and engineers made last-minute adjustments while soldiers boarded their ships, ready to defend Earth at all costs. Carter stood on the bridge of the Erebus, her crew waiting for her command. "Fleet status?" she asked. "All ships ready, Captain," her second-in-command replied. Carter took a deep breath. "Then let's show them what humanity is made of." With that, the Terran fleet roared to life, engines blazing as it ascended into space. For the first time, humanity's true strength would be revealed, and the Galactic Council would learn what it meant to challenge Earth. As the fleet disappeared into the void, the world watched with bated breath. The ultimatum had been issued, but the fight was only just beginning. A spark of resistance. High above Earth, the Galactic Council's vanguard fleet hovered like a pack of predators waiting for their prey to falter. The massive ships gleamed under the light of the distant sun, their sleek designs a testament to centuries of alien engineering. Zorath watched from the bridge of his flagship, the Eminence, a smug smile playing on his lips. "They have no chance," Zorath mused aloud. "Primitive creatures, clinging to their little planet. This will be over before it begins." But Zorath's confidence was about to face a rude awakening. Beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, hidden from prying eyes, the Terran fleet was making its final preparations. The Erebus was the first to ascend, its dark hull reflecting no light, a phantom in the depths. The fleet followed in formation, each ship designed for a specific role: interceptors for speed, destroyers for raw firepower, and carriers brimming with drone swarms. Captain Ava Carter stood on the command deck of the Erebus, her hands clasped behind her back. Her crew was tense but ready, their movements sharp and focused. "Captain," her communications officer called out, "the Council's vanguard is deploying scout ships toward Earth's orbit." Carter's lips curled into a faint smile. "Let them come. Time to give them a warm welcome." The Galactic Council scouts approached Earth's orbit, their sensors sweeping for signs of resistance. They found none. At first, just as they began transmitting an all-clear signal, the first strike hit. A burst of concentrated energy erupted from one of Earth's orbital defense platforms, a relic of humanity's early attempts at space defense, now upgraded with cutting-edge technology. The scout ship shields flared and collapsed, leaving it vulnerable. Seconds later, a Terran interceptor swooped in, its sleek design unlike anything the scouts had anticipated. Plasma bolts ripped through the alien ship's hull, leaving it a lifeless husk floating in the void. Zorath's smug expression vanished as reports flooded in. "What is this?" They weren't supposed to have anything beyond basic satellites. The Council's vanguard fleet began mobilizing, their formations tightening as they prepared for a counterattack. But the Terran fleet was already moving. In the silence of space, the Terran fleet struck with surgical precision. Using advanced stealth systems, the Erebus and its escorts closed the distance to the Council's vanguard. The alien ships were designed for overwhelming force, but they were slow to adapt. Humanity's strategy was one of precision and speed. On the Erebus, Carter gave her orders calmly. "Target their command ship first. Disrupt their coordination." The Erebus fired its railgun, a massive weapon capable of launching projectiles at near-light speed. The slug tore through space, impacting the Council's command ship with devastating force. The once imposing vessel was left listing, its systems crippled. The vanguard responded with a barrage of plasma fire, but the Terran fleet's agility proved its greatest asset. Interceptors weaved through enemy fire, distracting and disabling the larger ships. Drones swarmed from carriers, overwhelming point defenses. It was chaos, and humanity was winning. Inside the Eminence, Zorath's calm facade was cracking. "Deploy the energy disruptors," he barked. "We'll show them the power of the Council." The disruptors, massive devices capable of emitting pulses to disable electronic systems, activated. A wave of energy rippled through the battlefield, disrupting Terran communications and briefly stalling their attack. On the Erebus, systems flickered, and the bridge was bathed in dim emergency lighting. Carter gripped the edge of her command console, her mind racing. "Status report," she demanded. "Short-range comms are down," her tactical officer replied. "Weapons offline for now, but shields are holding." Carter's jaw tightened. She had anticipated the Council's superior technology, but not its specific weapons. "Reboot all systems manually, and prepare the auxiliary targeting array." Her crew worked with grim determination. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as the disruptor field pulsed again, this time hitting the smaller Terran ships harder. One by one, they faltered, some spiraling into the void, their systems fried. But then, the Erebus roared back to life. Carter's preparation paid off. The auxiliary targeting array, a redundant system designed specifically for electronic warfare scenarios, allowed them to regain control. "Target their disruptors," Carter ordered, her voice steel. "Let's level the playing field." The Erebus fired a concentrated volley at the Council's disruptor ships. One after another, they exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their energy pulses ceasing. With the field gone, the Terran fleet regained its momentum. Zorath watched in disbelief as his vanguard fleet began to crumble. "Impossible," he muttered. "How can this backwater species be doing this?" But he had underestimated humanity's resilience, their ability to adapt and innovate under pressure. The vanguard, once thought invincible, was in retreat. As the battle subsided, the Terran fleet regrouped. Losses were heavy, but morale was high. Humanity had done what the Galactic Council believed impossible. They had struck back and won the first engagement. On the bridge of the Erebus, Carter stood tall, her eyes scanning the reports. The victory was a small one, but it was a spark that could ignite a fire. "Send a message to Earth," Carter said. "Let them know we're still in the fight." The message echoed across the planet, filling every screen with Carter's steady voice. "We've pushed them back, but this is just the beginning. Humanity will not bow. We will stand, we will fight, and we will win." The people of Earth cheered. Hope had been rekindled. For the first time, the Galactic Council knew what it was to face resistance. The battle unfolds. The silence of space was shattered as the Galactic Council's reinforcements arrived. Massive warships, bristling with advanced weaponry, materialized from hyperspace, dwarfing anything humanity had ever seen. Zorath stood on the bridge of the Eminence, his frustration replaced by cold resolve. "This isn't over," he growled. "Deploy the Omega formation. Crush them." The Council's ships began to spread out in perfect synchronization, a tactic designed to surround and overwhelm their enemies. It was a strategy that had worked against countless civilizations before. But this time, they faced something different. On board the Erebus, Captain Ava Carter observed the incoming fleet through the main viewport. The holographic display showed the enemy ships moving into position, their numbers far exceeding what the Terran fleet could handle in a head-on fight. "They're trying to box us in," her tactical officer noted, anxiety creeping into his voice. Carter nodded, her expression calm. "They want us to panic. We won't give them the satisfaction. Prepare for Phase 2. The room buzzed with activity as the crew worked to execute Carter's plan. Unlike the Council's rigid strategies, humanity relied on adaptability and creativity. The Terran fleet wasn't just going to fight. They were going to outthink their enemy. The battle began with a feint. A squadron of Terran interceptors charged headlong toward the Council's center, drawing fire from the larger ships. Plasma beams lit up the void as the interceptors danced between the blasts, buying precious seconds for the rest of the fleet. Meanwhile, the Erebus led a stealth unit along the flank, using the shadow of a nearby asteroid field to mask their approach. Carter's voice came through the comms, steady and confident. "Remember, they think we're predictable. Use that against them." As the Council focused on the interceptors, the stealth unit launched its surprise attack. Torpedoes struck key enemy ships, disabling engines and shields. Chaos erupted in the Council's formation as they scrambled to respond. Zorath slammed his fist against the console. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. His chief strategist, a multi-limbed alien with glowing blue veins, hesitated. "Their tactics are erratic, High Chancellor. They're exploiting gaps in our formation." "Then close those gaps," Zorath barked. "Send in the dreadnoughts." The dreadnoughts, massive ships designed to endure heavy damage while dealing devastating blows, advanced. Their arrival marked a turning point in the battle. With shields impervious to conventional weapons, they carved a path through the Terran fleet, destroying smaller ships with ease. On the Erebus, Carter studied the situation. She had anticipated this move. "Activate the decoy protocol," she ordered. The decoy protocol was a last-ditch measure, a risky maneuver that involved deploying unmanned drone ships programmed to emit false signals. These drones mimicked the signatures of Terran warships, confusing the enemy's targeting systems. The drones swarmed the battlefield, creating the illusion of reinforcements. The Council's dreadnoughts hesitated, diverting fire to the decoys. In that moment of confusion, Carter struck. "Target their weapon cores," she commanded. "Full power to the railguns." The Erebus fired its primary weapon, a colossal railgun capable of piercing even the toughest defenses. The shot tore through a dreadnought's hull, triggering a chain reaction that turned the ship into a fiery wreck. But the victory was short-lived. The Council's fleet adapted quickly, focusing their firepower on the Terran command ship. Explosions rocked the Erebus, and alarms blared as shields struggled to hold. "Damage report," Carter shouted over the noise. "Shields at 30%, her engineering officer replied. "We've lost power to the aft weapons array." Carter clenched her fists. She had to think fast. "Divert power from non-essential systems to the shields, and signal the rest of the fleet to regroup. We're not done yet." As the battle raged on, the Erebus executed a daring maneuver, using the wreckage of destroyed ships as cover. Smaller Terran ships launched coordinated attacks, striking the Council's vulnerable supply vessels. For every victory, however, there was a cost. Lives were being lost on both sides, and the battlefield was littered with debris. Carter knew this couldn't continue indefinitely. In a desperate attempt to turn the tide, Zorath ordered his flagship, the Eminence, to engage directly. The massive ship moved toward the Erebus, its weapons glowing ominously. "Prepare to fire the Singularity Cannon," Zorath commanded. The cannon was a weapon of unimaginable power, capable of creating a gravitational singularity that could destroy entire fleets. On the Erebus, Carter watched in horror as the cannon charged. Her mind raced, searching for a solution. "Target their cannon," she ordered. "If we can disable it, we might have a chance." But before the Erebus could act, the cannon fired. A sphere of pulsating energy erupted from the Eminence, drawing in everything in its path. "Evasive maneuvers," Carter shouted. The Erebus veered away, narrowly avoiding the Singularity's pull. Smaller ships weren't as lucky, disappearing into the swirling void. As the Singularity dissipated, Carter realized they couldn't win this battle through brute force. They needed a new strategy, a way to strike at the heart of the Council's fleet. "Recall the fleet," she ordered. "We need to regroup and come up with a plan. This isn't over." The Terran fleet retreated into the shadows, battered but not broken. The Galactic Council had shown their power, but humanity's resilience and ingenuity had kept them in the fight. On board the Eminence, Zorath stared at the retreating ships, a flicker of unease crossing his features. Humanity had survived another day, and they were far from defeated. The hidden agenda. The Erebus drifted silently in a secluded region of space, its hull bearing the scars of the recent battle. The Terran fleet was battered but far from broken. Inside the ship, Captain Ava Carter stood in the war room, surrounded by holographic projections of their enemies. "We need answers," Carter said, her tone resolute. "They're not just trying to dominate us. This level of aggression suggests something more. What are they hiding?" General Marcus Gray appeared on a live feed from Earth. "We've intercepted fragments of their communications," he said. "It seems they're after something unique to Earth, something critical to their survival." The room fell silent. Carter's brow furrowed. What could Earth possibly have that they don't? Deep within the Galactic Council's fleet, High Chancellor Zoreth paced the command deck of the Eminence, his supreme strategist approach, holding a glowing data tablet. "High Chancellor, our scans confirm it. Earth's core contains a high concentration of element 7, a substance we've depleted across the galaxy." Zoreth's lips curled into a sinister smile. "The key to our continued dominance lies beneath their feet. No wonder they resist. They have no idea of its value." Back on the Erebus, Carter and her crew reviewed the intelligence. The intercepted data revealed the Council's plan to strip Earth of its resources, particularly the mysterious element 7. The element's properties were still a mystery, but it was clear that the Council couldn't afford to lose access to it. "They're not here to conquer us," Carter said, her voice steady but cold. "They're here to strip Earth bare. They'll kill us all if it means getting what they want." One of her officers chimed in. "Captain, if we can confirm where they're storing their extracted element 7, we could strike their supply lines. It might force them to reconsider." Carter nodded. "Agreed. But first, we need a way in." The Terran fleet's reconnaissance unit was dispatched to locate the Council's extraction vessels. Using advanced cloaking technology, they infiltrated the edges of the enemy's operation. What they discovered was chilling. Massive Council drillships had landed on Earth's moon, extracting element 7 from its crust. The moon's surface was scarred by mining operations, its once pristine landscape marred by alien machinery. The recon team transmitted images back to the Erebus. Carter studied the footage, her jaw tightening. "They're using our moon as a testing ground. If they succeed, Earth is next." Carter devised a bold plan. The Terran fleet would split into two groups. One group, led by the Erebus, would launch a diversionary attack to draw the Council's attention. Meanwhile, a smaller team would infiltrate the moon's surface and sabotage the extraction operations. The infiltration team included Lieutenant Marcus Rayner, a resourceful soldier known for his quick thinking, and Dr. Elena Voss, a brilliant scientist with expertise in alien technology. Their mission was to disable the drillships and recover any samples of element 7. As the Erebus led the diversion, engaging the Council's warships in a furious skirmish, the infiltration team slipped past the defenses and landed on the moon. The moon's surface was a haunting sight. Giant alien drills rumbled as they bored into the ground, glowing with an eerie blue light. Rayner and his team moved swiftly, avoiding patrolling Council drones. Inside one of the drillships, Dr. Voss worked frantically to analyze the extracted element 7. "This isn't just a resource," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It's a power source unlike anything we've ever seen. If they drain the Earth, they'll have enough energy to fuel their empire for centuries." Rayner grimaced. "Then we make sure they don't get it." The team planted explosives on the drillship's core. Just as they prepared to retreat, alarms blared. Council forces had discovered their presence. The Erebus continued its diversionary assault, taking heavy fire but holding the line. Carter monitored the infiltration team's progress through intermittent updates. When the signal cut out, her heart sank. "Do we have any communication with Rayner's team?" she asked. "Negative, Captain," her comms officer replied. But their last message indicated they completed the sabotage. Carter gripped the console. She knew the risks they had taken, but the mission wasn't over yet. "Pull the fleet back. We've done enough damage for now." On the moon, Rayner's team fought their way out of the drillship. Explosions erupted behind them as the charges detonated, destroying the Council's machinery. The team barely made it to their extraction shuttle, escaping just as enemy reinforcements arrived. As they returned to the fleet, Rayner transmitted a final message to Carter. "Mission accomplished. But, Captain, we need to talk about what we found." In the aftermath, the Terran fleet regrouped. The mission had dealt a significant blow to the Council's operations, but it came at a cost. Several ships were lost in the diversion, and the crew of the Erebus was pushed to their limits. Carter listened intently as Dr. Voss explained the significance of Element 7. If we can harness this ourselves, it could change everything. But it's a double-edged sword. The Council will stop at nothing to take it from us. Carter's gaze hardened. Then we need to stay one step ahead. We've shown them we won't back down, but this war is far from over. As the Terran fleet prepared for the next phase of the fight, Carter couldn't shake the feeling that the Council's hidden agenda was just the tip of the iceberg. Humanity had struck back, but the true battle for Earth was only beginning. Against all odds, the Terran fleet hung in the shadow of Saturn's rings, battered but defiant. Repairs were underway, and the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the next phase. Captain Eva Carter stood in the Erebus war room, staring at a holographic map of the galaxy, her mind racing with possibilities. Lieutenant Marcus Raynor and Dr. Elena Voss entered the room, fresh from their mission on the moon. The grim expressions on their faces confirmed Carter's fears. "What did you find?" Carter asked, her voice sharp. Dr. Voss set a glowing vial of Element 7 on the table. "This element isn't just a resource. It's a universal key. It can power ships, weapons, even entire planets. If the Council gets their hands on Earth's supply, they'll become unstoppable." Raynor chimed in. "And they're not waiting. Their next move will be a direct assault on Earth. They want to end this before we can regroup." Carter clenched her fists. "Then we need to strike first. Hit them where it hurts." The Terran fleet's intelligence division had pinpointed a critical target, the Council's main refinery for Element 7, hidden within a dense asteroid field near the star Vega. The refinery processed stolen resources from countless worlds and supplied the Council's war machine. Destroying it would cripple their ability to wage war. The mission was daring and dangerous. The refinery was protected by an armada of ships and automated defenses, but Carter knew they had no choice. Humanity's survival depended on taking risks. The fleet mobilized, splitting into 3 groups. One would engage the armada, creating a diversion. Another would infiltrate the asteroid field and plant explosives on the refinery. The final group, led by the Erebus, would act as a reserve force, ready to reinforce wherever needed. As the fleet approached the refinery, Carter addressed her crew. "This isn't just about Earth anymore. The Council has oppressed countless civilizations. If we succeed, we'll send a message to the galaxy. Humanity fights for freedom, not just for itself, but for everyone." Her words stirred a quiet determination among the crew. They knew the odds, but they also knew the stakes. The battle began with a ferocious assault. The Council's armada swarmed the first group, plasma bolts lighting up the asteroid field like fireworks. Terran ships darted through the chaos, using the field to their advantage. The Council's rigid tactics struggled against humanity's unpredictability. Meanwhile, the infiltration team, led by Raynor, navigated the treacherous asteroid field. Automated turrets fired relentlessly, forcing the team to rely on precise flying and quick thinking. Inside the refinery, the team planted charges on critical systems. Dr. Voss worked to extract data from the facility's mainframe, hoping to uncover more about the Council's operations. Her hands flew across the console as alarms blared around her. "Hurry up, Doc," Raynor urged, firing at approaching drones. "Almost there," Voss replied. "This place is a treasure trove of intel. The Council's plans, supply lines. It's all here." She transferred the data to a secure drive just as the team finished planting the explosives. "Let's get out of here." As the infiltration team retreated, the Council's forces began to close in. The diversion group was taking heavy losses, and the Erebus was forced to intervene. Carter ordered her ship into the fray, targeting the enemy's flagship. The Erebus unleashed its full arsenal, railguns, and missile salvos ripping through the Council's defenses, but the flagship was heavily shielded, and its captain was no ordinary opponent. The alien commander, a veteran of countless campaigns, countered every move with ruthless precision. "Captain, their shields are too strong," Carter's tactical officer reported. "Then we target their power core," Carter said. "Divert all remaining power to weapons." The Erebus fired a concentrated burst at the flagship's exposed core, causing a massive explosion that sent shockwaves through the battlefield. The Council's fleet wavered, giving the Terran forces a chance to regroup. Rayner's team barely escaped the refinery before the charges detonated. The explosion was spectacular, sending chunks of the facility and nearby asteroids spiraling into the void. The Council's primary source of Element 7 was gone, but the victory came at a cost. Many Terran ships had been lost, and the surviving crews were exhausted. As the fleet limped away from Vega, Carter knew the battle was far from over. Back on the Erebus, Carter reviewed the data Dr. Voss had extracted. Among the Council's plans was something chilling, a project called Eternal Dominion. The Council was developing a super-weapon powered by Element 7, capable of obliterating entire planets. "They're building it in the galactic core," Voss said, her voice shaky. "If they finish it, no one will be safe. Not Earth, not anyone." Carter's gaze hardened. "Then we stop them. We've come this far, and we're not backing down now." She turned to her crew. "Prepare the fleet. We're taking this fight to the heart of the galaxy." The Terran fleet had dealt a devastating blow to the Council, but now they faced their greatest challenge yet. With time running out, humanity's fight for survival was about to reach its climax. The final strike. The galactic core, a swirling sea of superheated plasma and gravitational chaos, was a realm few dared to enter. Deep within this hostile region, the Galactic Council's superweapon, the Eternal Dominion, was under construction. Suspended within the fiery embrace of an artificial star, the weapon gleamed like a predator waiting to strike. The Terran fleet approached cautiously, using the cover of dense magnetic fields to mask their presence. Captain Ava Carter stood on the bridge of the Erebus, her face illuminated by the flickering light of the holographic battle map. "This is it," she said, her voice steady but laced with gravity. "The Council thinks they're untouchable here. Let's prove them wrong." The fleet was split into 3 assault groups. The first group would target the Council's perimeter defenses, drawing their fire away from the core. The second group, led by Carter, would infiltrate the construction zone to destroy the Eternal Dominion directly. The third group would act as a fallback force, ready to reinforce or evacuate as needed. As the fleet advanced, Carter addressed her crew. "We're outnumbered, outgunned, and fighting in one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy. But we've faced worse odds before. Trust your training. Trust each other, and remember what we're fighting for." The crew responded with a resolute cheer. They knew this was a one-way mission for many of them, but their determination was unshaken. The battle began with a ferocious assault on the Council's outer defenses. Massive orbital platforms unleashed torrents of plasma fire, illuminating the darkness. Terran ships darted through the chaos, using their agility to evade and counterattack. The Erebus led the second group into the construction zone, navigating the hazardous terrain with precision. The superweapon loomed ahead, its surface bristling with automated turrets and shield generators. "Target the shield emitters," Carter ordered. "We can't touch that thing until those are down." Terran bombers swooped in, releasing payloads of high-yield explosives. The emitters flared and shattered, leaving the Eternal Dominion exposed. But the Council wasn't unprepared. A fleet of heavily armed frigates emerged from the construction site, their sleek forms glowing with energy. "Captain, incoming enemy reinforcements," Carter's tactical officer shouted. "Hold the line," Carter replied. "We're not leaving until that weapon is destroyed." Meanwhile, a strike team led by Lieutenant Marcus Rayner infiltrated the Eternal Dominion. The team landed on the weapon's surface, using magnetic boots to traverse its hull. Their mission: sabotage its energy core from within. Inside the superweapon, The team encountered a labyrinth of alien technology. Dr. Elena Voss worked furiously to decode the controls, her portable scanner humming as she mapped the layout. "This thing isn't just a weapon," Voss muttered. "It's designed to manipulate gravity on a planetary scale. They could destroy worlds or enslave them by controlling their environments." Raynor grimaced. "All the more reason to blow it sky high." "How much longer, Doc?" "Almost there," Voss replied. "I just need to bypass the failsafes." Back on the Erebus, Carter watched as her fleet fought desperately against the Council's reinforcements. The Erebus itself took several hits, its shields flickering dangerously low. "Captain, hull integrity is down to 40%, her engineering officer reported. "Divert all power to forward shields," Carter commanded. "We're not pulling back." Suddenly, the Council's flagship, the Supremacy, emerged from hyperspace. It was a monstrosity, dwarfing even the Erebus. From the bridge of the Supremacy, High Chancellor Zoreth observed the battle with cold detachment. "They've come far," Zoreth said, his voice echoing in the Grand Chamber. "Too far. End this." The Supremacy's primary weapon charge, a massive energy cannon capable of obliterating entire fleets. Carter's eyes widened as the weapon aimed directly at the Erebus. "Evasive maneuvers," she shouted. The Erebus veered sharply, narrowly avoiding the beam. The energy blast grazed a nearby Terran ship, reducing it to debris. Carter's mind raced. She knew they couldn't withstand another shot. Inside the Eternal Dominion, Voss finally cracked the failsafes. "We're in," she exclaimed. "Plant the charges on the core." Raynor and his team moved quickly, attaching high-yield explosives to the weapon's energy matrix. As they worked, alarms blared, and Council security forces descended on them. "Time to go," Raynor shouted. "Detonation in 5 minutes, whether we're on or off this thing." The team fought their way back to their shuttle, narrowly escaping as the charges began their countdown. The Erebus regrouped with the fleet just as the Eternal Dominion erupted in a blinding explosion. The shockwave rippled through the construction zone, tearing apart nearby Council ships and sending debris hurtling in all directions. On the Supremacy, Zoreth watched in stunned silence as his ultimate weapon was destroyed. His composure cracked, and he slammed his fist against the console. "Retreat," he growled. "This isn't over." As the Council's fleet retreated, the Terran fleet gathered its survivors. The victory had come at a heavy cost, but the destruction of the Eternal Dominion was a turning point. Humanity had struck a blow not just for itself, but for every species under the Council's oppression. On the bridge of the Erebus, Carter stood amidst her weary crew. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. "Send a message to Earth," Carter said. "Let them know we're coming home. And tell the galaxy, humanity doesn't just survive. We fight." The fleet set course for Earth, ready to face whatever came next. The Council had learned to fear humanity, but Carter knew their greatest challenges still lay ahead. Victory at a cost. The Terran fleet returned to Earth's orbit to a hero's welcome, but the mood aboard the Erebus was somber. The cost of victory weighed heavily on every survivor. The loss of countless lives and ships had left scars that would never fully heal. Captain Ava Carter stood on the bridge, gazing at the blue-green planet below. She couldn't allow herself to celebrate. Not yet. "We've bought time," she said to her second-in-command, Commander Elias Stone. "But the Council won't stop. They'll regroup, they'll rebuild, and they'll come for us again." Stone nodded. "Then we'll be ready, Captain. We've shown them that humanity isn't a species to be underestimated." Down on Earth, world leaders convened at the United Nations headquarters to discuss the future. The destruction of the Eternal Dominion had sent shockwaves across the galaxy. News of humanity's resistance inspired other oppressed species to rise up against the Council. For the first time in millennia, the Council's grip on the galaxy was slipping. Ambassadors from newly rebellious factions began reaching out to Earth, offering alliances. Among them was Ambassador Kalin, a representative of the Sixari, an aquatic species known for their advanced technology, but long oppressed by the Council. Our people have suffered under the Council's rule for generations, Killin said, her voice resonating like a gentle wave. Your defiance has shown us that freedom is possible. We wish to stand with humanity. The alliances formed in those tense days would mark the beginning of a united front, a coalition of free worlds willing to challenge the Council's dominance. In the days following their return, Carter and her crew worked tirelessly to rebuild the fleet. Engineers and scientists collaborated with alien allies to upgrade Earth's technology, incorporating advanced systems gleaned from the data Dr. Voss had recovered from the Eternal Dominion. This isn't just about better weapons, Voss explained during a briefing. We're developing energy shields, gravity manipulation devices, and even faster propulsion systems. With these advancements, we can match the Council ship for ship. Rayner smirked. Finally, a fair fight. Despite the victories, Carter couldn't shake the feeling that the war was far from over. Her fears were confirmed when a coded transmission from deep space reached the Erebus. The message was brief but chilling. We will return. The galaxy will bow. Zoreth. The Council had retreated, but their resolve was unbroken. Carter knew they were regrouping, preparing for a counterstrike that would test humanity like never before. In preparation for this inevitability, Earth unveiled its greatest project, the Unity, a massive battleship constructed with the combined efforts of humanity and its new allies. The Unity was more than a weapon. It was a symbol of hope, a beacon of resistance. During the unveiling ceremony, Carter addressed a crowd that included representatives from dozens of newly liberated worlds. Her words were broadcast across the galaxy. We've seen the horrors of oppression, she began, her voice steady and filled with resolve. But we've also seen the power of unity. Together, we've faced the Council and proven that no empire, no matter how powerful, is invincible. The fight ahead won't be easy, but we are stronger together. Humanity doesn't stand alone. We are part of something greater. Cheers erupted across the crowd, and Carter felt a glimmer of hope. For the first time, the galaxy wasn't just surviving, it was fighting back. As the fleet prepared for the inevitable return of the Council, Carter reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. They had faced annihilation, uncovered hidden agendas, and endured unimaginable losses. But through it all, they had found strength in their unity and resilience. Standing on the bridge of the Erebus, now fully repaired and upgraded, Carter looked out at the stars. She knew the fight was far from over, but she also knew that humanity had become something the Council could never have predicted, a force capable of shaping the galaxy's future. "Commander," she said, turning to Stone, "plot a course for the galactic core. We're not waiting for them to come to us." Stone raised an eyebrow. "Taking the fight to their doorstep, Captain." Carter nodded. "We've shown we can defend ourselves. Now it's time to show them we're not afraid to strike first." As the Erebus led the fleet into hyperspace, Carter felt a surge of determination. Humanity had risen to the challenge, and the galaxy was watching. The war wasn't over, but one thing was certain. The Council had underestimated humanity, and they wouldn't make that mistake again.